There we go. Nice. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is your local cat slime, Ceylon Cross. Thank you for joining my stream today. Doing a bit something different with Magic Mondays. Today, I am going to be making a new EDH deck, a new commander deck. I've sort of been in the mood of revisiting some of my older deck lists and trying to spruce them up a bit. That's what I want to do. And I've just kind of gotten bit by the deck brewing bug, and I want to try and do a stream where I just kind of chill and putz around doing some deck building. So unfortunately, no battles this stream. We're not going to boot up Magic Online. We're going to let the old client rest for a day. But we are going to be going through Architect here, and I've got Scryfall and EDH Rec open just as resources. We're going to be using more Scryfall than EDH Rec, to be honest, but I didn't want to blind people with light mode. So yeah, today's EDH brew is Tristani. So one of my decks that I've had for a good long time here is Reese the Redeemed. This deck is my baby. It's been foiled out, a whole bunch of really nifty cards, and for the last long time I have been playing this deck and it has been fun, but the last couple years it's just kind of fallen off my play roster. I have a bunch of EDH decks, and although I love tokens and I love token strategies and just getting a lot of dudes and swinging in, this one just didn't feel right. Something just felt off and I couldn't put my finger on it. After staying away from it for a good amount of time, I came to the realization that I just need to rebuild it from the ground up. I was a token deck with basically no token generation, big clunky creatures, and I mean, look at this mana curve here. Like, we are pretty top heavy, and not in a good way. So we've got a lot of 4, 5, 6, and 7 drops comparatively to the beginning of the game here, where I'm almost not doing anything on the first 2 turns or so of the game, which kind of sucks nowadays. Can't really get away with that anymore. Back in the day, yeah, back during the early days when it was still EDH and not Commander, you could do that. But this deck never really kept up with the times. Hero of Bladehold, Dauntless Escort, Ant Queen. I mean, yeah, pretty decent cards. A Wolfbriar Elemental. But I'm not doing what I want to do with this deck. It's clunky, in my opinion. So that's why I've been working on a rebuild. And I'm not going to show it on stream just yet, but I have made a new version of this, and I've honed it down to something that I really enjoy. So I'm actually starting to collect cards for this and get it working. Now then, when I went about rebuilding my token swarm deck from the ground up, I left myself 2 options. The first option was basically rebuild the deck as I originally intended it make a lot of dudes, go wide, buff them, and swing. That's what I went with this. This is version A. Version B is what we're going to be working on today. Now, I may or may not actually build this in paper, but it's nice to have this deck in the pocket for when, as, and if I get the funds to have another Selesnya tokens deck. And that way, if I'm feeling lots of dudes one day, or the next day I'm feeling, you know, quality over quantity, hence the title here with Trostani, I can switch it up. At the moment, I've got one Selesnya deck, and that's this. That's what this is going to be. But that's going to be a secret for now. Trostani is where we're going to work today. Now, I've already done a little bit of looking here. So I've got basically the game plan is to support a populate strategy. Populate is a mechanic that you create a token that is a copy of a creature token I already control. Now, it's specifically a copy of a creature token. So I cannot populate treasures, I cannot populate food, I cannot populate clues or power stones or anything like that. It's got to be creatures, it's got to be dudes. So what that means is that if I'm going to be able to, let's say, activate this once a turn, you know, before doing anything really cheaty and synergistic, I want the quality of that token to be very high. I want that token to be something worth putting maybe its mana cost back into it or more turn after turn after turn. So that's kind of what I want to do today, is look through, find those quality tokens, find those synergies, and really go to town figuring it out. I kind of got re-inspired to look at this with the offspring mechanic from Bloomburrow. Now let's bring this guy up here. Does that make it any bigger? Not really. All right, so Warren Warleader, new card from Bloomburrow. That's just, as of the recording of this, it's just after the pre-release weekend. So this is 4 mana for 4/4. It's already pretty darn good. Whenever you attack, choose 1. It doesn't have to, I don't think it's, you have to attack with this, but just whenever you attack, create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token that's tapped and attacking. Okay, not quite Hero Bladehold, but the other option is attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Pretty nice. The big thing is that essentially for 2 mana kicker, you can cast this as a 6 mana 4/4, and that gets you a 1/1. So you get 5 total power for 6 mana. And that 1/1 is a copy of Warren Warleader that's just a 1/1, not a 4/4. So you have 2 creatures now that can create additional 1/1s or anthem your team when attacks are declared. So multiplying that as you do with a populate deck can get kind of crazy. You can suddenly get a bunch of triggers from each of your different Warren Warleaders that can make a lot of dudes, or just suddenly overrun without having to cast another spell. So that's pretty cool. And that's what really kickstarted this, along with seeing things like Odratak, that's how it's pronounced. Gruff Triplets, that's an interesting card. We'll get to each of these eventually. But yeah, I'm really stoked with things like Bramble Sovereign. This is a card originally from Battle Bond, I want to say. It's a 4/4 for 4. Whenever another non-token creature enters battlefield, you may pay 1 and a green. If you do, that creature's controller creates a token that's a copy of that creature. So I can make another copy of Foreign War Leader when it comes into play. I can make another copy of Rough Triplets when it comes into play. I can make another copy of, you get the idea. And now those copies can be populated. You can get more copies of that initial creature than you otherwise could. That's what I'm thinking here. So I don't have a particular game plan for today, aside from just do a bunch of searching, find a whole bunch of stuff that looks interesting, that gets me like really cool looking creatures here, and see if I can get an amount of tokeny stuff. And whatever I don't have from tokeny stuff, I can probably fall into the life gain side of Trostani and go from there. Because even if the tokens are just, like I said, you're not going to have a million of them. Maybe you're going to have like 3 or 4 tokens out at a time. If they're all 4/5s, that's pretty decent. If they're all just like, you know, copy of Gruff Triplets, where if you got rid of 1, then the Hydra grows, essentially. Yeah, it's pretty good. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Let me looking through that. So let me take a sip of water. Ooh. YouTube Studio did not like that. And let's get to looking at the cards that we do have first, before we get to looking at Scryfall or EDH Rec. EDH Rec is neato, but I do not take this as gospel. I take this as, you know, let's help see if someone's already figured out something that I haven't. So anyway, here's where we're looking, guys, just so that we don't get distracted. There's your light mode. All right, so we go down here. We have Trostani. Let's introduce our commander here. So we have 4 mana. We have a 2/5 legendary dryad. Excuse me. Whenever another creature enters battlefield under my control, I gain life to that creature's toughness. Already pretty decent. Life gain and token strategies, long history together. For 1, a green and a white, I can tap Trostani and populate. Create a token that's a copy of a creature token I control. Cool. Let's look at the artifacts. Asika's Chariot. 3 and a green for a legendary artifact vehicle. If you crew this for 4 power, it becomes a 4/4, which is already pretty decent. 4 mana 4/4s. When it enters battlefield, create 2 green cat creature tokens. Okay. When Asika's Chariot attacks, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. Now it's target token I control, not necessarily creature, but essentially this is when it attacks populate. So that's pretty cool. And we can automatically copy one of our cats or something else. So that's cool. Gives us tokens and allows us to copy them. Excellent. Helm of the Host. Helm of the Host, 4 mana. Legendary artifact equipment. It has an equip cost of 5, which is pretty steep, but that's because this card is kind of busted. Beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of the equipped creature, except the token is not legendary. That token gains haste. You can go kind of nuts with Trostani now. Now you have multiple populates. Now you're gaining multiple amounts of life. Pretty decent. Also works with basically any other creature. And the creature doesn't have to have attacked. It can just sit there with the helm on it. So that's pretty cool. I think so. All right, now we get into the creatures that I've looked at so far, and some of these are good. Some of these are like, okay. Some of these are insane. I'll let you be the judge of that. Bramble Sovereign. We already touched on this, so the brief overview is that it's a 4/4 for 4 mana. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, I can pay 1 and a green. And if I do, that creature's controller creates a token copy of it. Okay. Now I can do that whenever somebody else's creature comes into play. I don't know why I would want to, but I can. So that's cool. Fanatic of Aronas. So Fanatic of Aronas is a 2-mana 1/4. It's a mana dork. So I tap it and add green. Alrighty? Good. Pretty decent. 2 mana, tap to add a specific colored mana. Alright, fair. Ferocious. Tap, add 4 green. Activate only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. A bunch of 4 mana 4/4s that we're talking about here. Oh wait, there's Eternalize. Eternalize. If this is in the graveyard, I can pay 2 green to exile it from my graveyard and create a token that's a copy of Fanatic of Aronas, except it's a 4/4 black zombie, Snake Druid, with no mana cost. So it turns on its own Ferocious when it eternalizes and becomes a token, which then we can populate and start just going absolutely nutsos with essentially getting mana dorks that tap for 4 green each. That's pretty cool. Giant Adaphage. This is a classic. 7 mana for 7/7 insect with trample. Whenever Giant Adaphage deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of Giant Adaphage. The bugs just keep coming and coming. That's pretty sweet. This can snowball pretty darn fast, and I feel like if there's like only a couple of like big sort of like end game finishers in the deck, this would be one of them. Gruff Triplets. This is an interesting guy. So for 6 mana, 3 green, you get a 3/3 with trample. Okay. Yeah. When Gruff Triplets enters the battlefield, if it is not a token, create 2 tokens that are copies of it. Okay, so it's actually 6 mana for 9 power worth of trampling creatures. Okay. When Gruff Triplets dies, basically when the card name dies, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to its power on each creature you control named Gruff Triplets. So that means that if, let's say, one of the tokens dies, your other 2 Gruff Triplets suddenly become 6/6s. So that can get pretty sick. And if you populate the token, you can just keep buffing whatever remains of these things. So pretty nice. I think it's slow, let's say, but otherwise pretty neat. Ojertak, Deepest Foundation. 4 white for a 6/6 legendary creature god. Vigilance. All right. If one or more creature tokens would be created under control 3 times that many of those tokens are created instead. People thought doubling season was insane. This is triple. When it dies, return to the battlefield tapped and transformed under its owner's control. I'll say, so if it would go away, it comes back tapped as a land. And later on, I can pay 3 mana and tap the land to transform it back. But I can only do that if I attacked with 3 or more creatures this turn, and only as a sorcery. All right, so it's kind of got like Windbrisk vibes, Windbrisk height vibes. And it's not like, you know, okay, I can transform it and suddenly I have a 6/6 that I can now attack with because it is tapped. But still, that's really good. And being able to triple your populate is pretty nice. fair to say that a lot of the token doublers may make it into this deck. Securitron Squadron. 2 mana for 2/2. It's a robot. Okay. It has vigilance. Okay. Whenever a creature token enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. Squad 3. Now, what does that mean? That means that as an additional cost, I can pay 3, in this case, any number of times. And when this enters the battlefield, I get that many copies of it. So for 5 mana, I get 1 copy. So I get a 2/2 and a 2/2. For 8 mana, I get 2 copies. Not the best rate in the world. But when you are doubling, tripling tokens and populating them, suddenly now you have essentially a Cathar's Crusade on a creature that can just escalate. Same thing here with Space Marine Devastator, right? 4 mana for 3/3, Squad 2. So 4 mana plus however many 2s I want to play. I get a 3/3 that when it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. Cool. So not only do I have to, not rely on aura shards, but for, let's say, 6 mana, I get a token that I can infinitely copy later that disenchants. Cool. Timeless Witness. 4 mana for a 2/1. When it enters battlefield, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. It's Eternal Witness. And the play here is that you can actually eternalize it. Similar to the Fanatic Ronas, you can eternalize the Timeless Witness. Comes back as a 4/4 black zombie human shaman. And when that token enters the battlefield, return target card from your graveyard to your hand, and you can copy that token over and over and over again. Good synergies. Ultramarines Honor Guard. 4 mana for a 2/2 with Squad 2. Very similar to this guy. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. Here's your Lord effect that you can now copy on tokens. Vaultborn Tyrant. 7 mana, 6/6 Dino with Trample. When the Vaultborn Tyrant or another creature with power 4 or greater enters battlefield under control, gain 3 life and draw a card. Already pretty nice. When the Vaultborn Tyrant dies, if it's not a token, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's also an artifact. Sweet. Mecha Dinos. So just suddenly getting more card draw, gain life, and you can just keep copying it? Sure. And then War and War Leader, the thing that started this whole gamut. Got our 4/4 for 4, Offspring 2. Now, you can only pay this once, I believe. So you only get the token once, but you get a mini version of it that also does the same stuff. Now we go down to our enchantments. City of Death. This is from the Doctor Who precons. 2 and a green for a saga. First one is create a treasure token. Nice. Get a little bit of value out of that. And then for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 additional turns, you create a token that's a copy of target non-saga token you control. So no going crazy with this. You can just for 5 turns essentially just populate at the very beginning of your first main phase. Cool. Now for the moment, I've just got 38 forests putting in for the land slots here. I always want to start high on the lands, relatively speaking. I know I'm going to have ramp in this deck. It's going to happen. But I want to make sure that I don't suddenly be like, oh, I've only got space for 32 lands. I got to cut stuff. Nope. I'm already going to carve that out. And then if I want to go down on lands, I can go down to probably like 36. But with a deck that wants to cast 7 drops, I might not. We'll see. Now we have finally sorcery. Invoke the Ancients. 5 mana 1 and 4 green for sorcery. Create 2 or 5 green spirit creature tokens. Alright, that's okay. 8 power. That's good. For each of them, put your choice of a vigilance counter, a reach counter, or a trample counter on it. And I believe that if there is a token doubler, when I cast this, like a Doubling Season or Parallel Lives, the additional tokens that come in do get choice of counters on them. So vigilance, reach, or trample. So at least one other will get a counter. I think you can only choose one. So like one has reach, one has vigilance. You can't have 2 with vigilance. I'd have to look up the rules on that one a bit. But unfortunately, when you populate a token, it does not get a counter that's already on it. So just keep getting 4 5s, and I'm totally okay with that. All right. So that's kind of what we have so far, right? We've got a ton of stuff going on here. Look at these tokens. It's a little goofball. So I'm going to look for, let's look for create token copy. Nope. If do I have it on white, green? Yep. Legal in commander. All right. Battle for Bretagard is pretty decent, I think. Let's pull this up real quick. So Saga enters battlefield. I create a 1/1 and then a 1/1, but it's really this third chapter here that I want to focus on. Choose any number of artifact tokens and or creature tokens you control, different names. For each of them, create a token that's a copy of it. I think that's worth at least consideration. So that's down there. Noise. Bio waste blob, huh? Oozes you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a commander, create a token that's a copy of a bio waste blob. Ooh. That's potential. I'm going to just open up a new tab for that for now. Forged Axe. Okay, it's not a creature. Doesn't work. Sovereign, we've already got you. Calyx, guided by fate. What do you have here? Constellation. Calyx, guided by fate, or another enchantment you control enters with +1/+1 on target creature. When Calyx or an enchanted creature you control deals combat damage to the player, you may create a token that's a copy of a non-legendary enchantment you control. No. Caretaker's talent. What do you do? Caretaker's talent. Whenever one or more tokens you control enter, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. All right. When this class becomes level 2, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. Already pretty decent. Creature tokens you control get +2/+2. Nice. We don't even have to put it up to level 3. Like, just being able to get it up to level 2 just once is pretty sweet. And being able to, like, buff things like the offspring token here, or like the ultramarines or the robot here, that's pretty decent. So I think Caretaker's talent goes in, just for now. Caretaker's talent. All right, you're in there. City of Death, we've already got you in there. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact. Gains haste, exile at the beginning. Nope. Myriad, what do you do? Conclave Evangelist deals combat damage to a player. Create a token that's a copy of. Ooh. That's kind of funny. Just a whole bunch of 4/4s. Granted, there's no like trample or anything on that, but just being able to attack in there. That's worth considering. I'm going to keep that on the side there. Oh, hey there, Serby. Yes, Selesnya tokens. I am building a commander deck. I'm doing something different this stream, so no battles today, but I am basically in the middle of revamping one of my oldest EDH decks, which is my Reese the Redeemed Token Swarm deck. The long story short is that when I went about redesigning this at the beginning of July, I set myself two options. My first option was a go wide tokens deck, which I've already finished, but I am not going to show people. That's going to be a secret for now. And then option B is this, a quality over quantity tokens. So I want a tokens deck, but there's two flavors, two directions I can go. A lot of tokens, but they're just, you know, bland vanillas that I pump or whatever. And then the other one where it's like I get really nice tokens, but only a few of them. Yep, that's why I populate. Make more big tokens or make more quality tokens. So not only do we have things like Vault-Born Tyrant or Giant Adaphage, where you end up with 7/7s with trample that become tokens, you also have utility things like Timeless Witness. It eventually becomes a token that you can just regrowth every turn. Or you can get a token that naturalizes or disenchants every time you copy it. That sort of thing. So there's a lot that can be done with that, especially when you're doing with broken cards here. So now at the moment, right now, excuse me, I am doing a search that is just creating a token copy. So other cards that are similar to like Helm of the Host, Battle of Bretagard, City of Death, things that pseudo populate, that don't have the populate keyword, can technically populate. Populate, one thing that I have to keep in mind is that populate only copies a creature token. So I'm not looking at going crazy with food tokens or treasure or power stones or clues, nothing. It's just creatures. So that's the focus today. And right now I've got a couple tabs open of cards that I just started the search, and these are cards that I'm thinking about, and this could like push the deck one way or another. So like Bio-Waste Blob. Sorry, my webcam is kind of like covering over a bit of the card here, but you can read it over here. It says, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a commander, create a token that's a copy of Bio-Waste Blob, and it has oozes you control get +1/+1. Now, if I find other sort of like ooze synergies, which maybe there will be, maybe I can make a Slimu deck. That would be cool. But otherwise, it's just really neat. So have that saved. And then Conclave Evangelist, which has Myriad. So whenever this attacks for each other opponent, I can create a copy of this card that's tapped and attacking. And those tokens get exiled at the end of combat. But whenever it or one of its tokens deals combat damage to the player, I create a token that's a copy of the Conclave Evangelist, and that one sticks around. Seance? Oh boy. We'd be going heavy into the memes if we went into Seance here. I don't think we are graveyard enough for a Seance, but we shall see. Beginning of each upkeep, you may exile target creature card from your graveyard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that card, except the spirit, in addition to exile it at the beginning of the next end step. So the token doesn't actually stay around originally, which makes it a little less useful, but it's certainly niche. All right, let's see here. Dino DNA. A lot of the newer cards here I'm not familiar with, so we're going to be taking a look at these one at a time. Dino DNA. 1 mana artifact imprint. 1 tap, exile target creature card from a graveyard. A graveyard, so anything. Actually, it only is a sorcery. All right. 6 mana, create a token that's a copy of target creature card exiled with Dino DNA, except it's a 6/6 green dinosaur creature with trample. Actually, only is a sorcery. 6 mana. Rough. Depending on the quality of my opponent's creatures, is rough. Could be nice, but I currently really don't have a solid play group, so I'm not sure about that. Blind Mice? Oh, I think I know what that is. Yeah. Haven't gotten there on there yet. I'm just making my way through the list. It's not a very large list. There's only 58 cards, so it's probably down here. Let's see here. Dollhouse of Horrors. Exile, Can't say it's still on a turn. Okay, but whatever. No. Dual Nature. Okay. Beautiful Replicator. Hit 1, reduce a copy of target token you control named Beautiful Replicator. No. Ooh, Imperial Storm. When you cast a spell, copy it for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. Create a 4/4 white angel token with flying. It's neat. Don't think that's going to happen with a 4 mana commander at the moment. Sika's Chariot I have, Giant Adaphage I have. Godfarer's Gift may be just a better seance. At the beginning of combat on your turn, exile creature card from your graveyard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie, and it also gains haste. Okay. I'll put that in a tab. Helm of the Host. We already have that. Imperial Mask. No, it's not. Azotep Quarry, kind of, sort of. Yeah, 7 mana is, but Eternalize on a stick. Yep. That's why I'm kind of setting it to the side. It's not just going straight into the list like a couple of these cards already have, like Caretaker's Talent and Battle for Bredegard. Those are doing some pretty good work. Let's see here. Mimic Vat is fun. Create a token that's a copy of a card exiled from Mimic Vat, gains haste, exile it at the beginning of the next end step. It still falls into the goes away at the end of turn, but pretty nice. Minion Reflector, what do you do again? Whenever a non-token creature you control enters, you may pay 2. If you do create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it has haste, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice permanent. Again, with the not sticking around. Almost like they wanted to make sure that they didn't have a problem with it. Alright, this requires a blue permanent, which I don't think is going to happen. Artifact. Another artifact. No, Mirror Propagator. No. Cute, but no. Nexus of Becoming. You're new. At the beginning of combat on your turn, draw a card. Then you may exile an artifact or creature card from your hand. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 3/3 golem artifact creature in addition to its other types. And it's already doing similar things here to... So I guess Godfarer's Gift, right? Pretty similar. Oscillate Pride. I know why this like keeps getting recommended in like EDH rec things and whatnot. It's nice, but I don't think it's necessary, especially for $42. Oh my god, guys, come on. Oh, here's another ooze. Trample. Ochre Jelly enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. Split. When it dies, if it had 2 or more +1/+1 counters on it, create a token that's a copy There's with that, half that many. Okay, so it's still 0/0. Okay, so it doesn't really work with populate. Tech Matter Weaver. What are you? 3 mana, 2/4. Whenever you cast a creature spell, make a 1/1 gnome token or create a token that's a copy of target artifact token you control. Okay. Probably not where we're going. Enchantment enters the battlefield, make a copy of it. Okay. Ooh. Polyraptor. Ooh, what's this? When it enraged. So when it's dealt damage, create a token that's a copy of Polyraptor. It's just a 5/5. Yeah, possibly. Possibly. It's not as interesting as like Giant Adaphage or like Vaultborn Tyrant. I have a pretty high standard for what I want it. Jelly's disgusting in a proliferate deck, though. You are absolutely correct. Unfortunately, not this one. Atraxa, maybe? Yes. Like a blue-green proliferate deck? Probably yes. Not this one, though. Oh, Preston the Vanquisher. Oh, Vanisher. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under control, if it wasn't cast, create a copy. It's 0/1 White Illusion. Okay, so that's blink effects. Prototype Portal. No. Reach the Redeemed. I mean, technically, yes. Mana 2. Vigilance. 1 tap. Create a tapped token. It's a copy of target token that entered battlefield this turn. Alright. So, Mana 2 is another type of populate effect, but it only works if you've populated or done a token thing already in that turn. Okay. Rootcast Apprenticeship. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Put 2+1/+1 counters on target creature. Create a token that's a copy of target token you control. All right. Create squirrel. Sacrifice it. So 4 mana. Populate 3 times. Yes, please. Okay. That, I think, is going straight into the deck. Thank you very much. Scoot Swarm. This card I've heard disgusting things about. 3 mana for a 1/1. Scoot. Whenever a land you control enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 insect. If you control 6 or more lands, create a token that's a copy of Scoot Swarm instead. So just the Scoot never ends. There's the Seance. I swear they only reprinted it just for the memes. There's no way it wasn't ugh. Second harvest. For each token you control, create a token that's a copy of that permanent. I have opinions on this card. This is neat, but I feel like it's a trap. If you're already ahead, essentially, if you've already got a smattering of tokens, this is win more. It doesn't do anything else if you're behind on tokens. It is instant speed, which is cool. But yeah, that's why I've, spoiler alert, haven't put in Reese yet before, because Reese is basically the better token doubler. And I don't really need it. Let's see. Oh yeah, but it's for land decks. Yeah. Scootsman's definitely for like a landfall deck, or at least a deck that does a lot more land shenanigans than what I have in mind. Never sacrifice another permanent. You may pay 3, create a token. Okay, cool. Soul Foundry, enter battlefield, exile creature card from your hand. Create a token that's a copy of card. X is the converted mana cost of that card. Yeah, Soul Foundry technically works. Much like, let's see. Much like those creatures that are XX, X is how many creatures you have. If you have a small board, they're bad. If you have a big board, you're already winning. Correct. There's only a few of those where they're worth it. but it's only like a select few. I don't exactly run it unless like my side strategy is like, I don't know, an exalted strategy, like get a bunch of dudes, have them give exalted. What there's an angel that gives exalted, right? There's gotta be, forget which one this is. But then you can like beat in with a large commander or something like that. That is a strategy. Not what I was doing. Nah. But you were right, Serby. That is valid criticism of those XXs for, you know, whatever. Sublime Archangel. Yes. Spawn Wraith. Ugh. Spawn Wraith. I do love me some Spawn Wraith. This was in the very original version of Reese the Redeemed. It was a pet card of mine. And I was just like, oh, that's really cool. It's a 2/2 that has trample. Get it down early game, and you can just go crazy with the number of tokens you have with it. Like if you was Beastmaster's Ascension, you can get big, and it was such a trap. It wasn't even good back in the day. Splitting Slime. Monstrosity 3. When it becomes monstrous, create a token that's a copy of Splitting Slime. Okay. Not quite as good as the Bio-Waste Blob, I think. What do you do? Stow. Alright. Chain creature gets +1/+1. Whenever land enters battlefield under control, it may pay 1 and a green. If it's attached to a creature you control. Oh, okay. Pay 1 and a green if it's attached to a creature control. If you do, create a token copy of that creature. If you didn't create a token, create a 1/1 insect instead. Okay. Sword of Wealth in the power. Artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 protection from instants and sorceries. Pretty decent. Whenever creature deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. When you cast your next instant sorcery spell, copy that spell. Okay, yeah, not quite what I want to do. Here's the 3 blind. Make a white mouse. Create a token that's a copy of tracker token you control. Create a token copy, yada yada. Creatures control, get +++. Okay. 3 blind is definitely going in, at least for now. It may or may not get cut, but it's nice to have that in. Could have sworn this had read ahead. Maybe that's something else. Vaultborn Tyrant, we already got that. There's this guy. Evolve. When it evolves, create a token that's a copy of it. Huh. Wedding Ring. When it is revealed, if it was cast, target opponent creates a copy. Okay. Opponent controls an artifact named Wedding Ring, draws a card. During their turn, you draw a card. No, that doesn't do anything for me. Yenna, Red Tooth Regent. 4 mana, 4/4. 2 and tap. Choose target enchantment you control that doesn't have the same name as another permanent you control. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary. That you control, so that isn't legendary. A token of an aura. Alright, that's way too narrow. Oh, it was only Brothers War? Okay. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the token copiers. Now let's do the thing with actually looking for populate. All right. Arboreal Alliance. Right. X green enchantment. There's battlefield, create an XX green tree folk. Whenever you attack with 1 or more elves, populate. Okay. That would require more of an elf strategy, which currently we just don't have. That's interesting though. Courses Accord, 6 mana, 3/3, populate. Druid's Deliverance, that is classic. Fog plus Populate. Eyes in the Sky. Yeah, the early Populate cards are kind of meh. Full Flowering. Populate X times. Ugh. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For 5 mana, I can populate twice. What was the cost of that other card that we got here? 4 mana? Yeah, 4 mana. Early populate was kind of gross. Growing Ranks, though, is decent. It sticks around. I'm going to keep that in a tab up here. Life Finds a Way. Whenever a non-token creature with power 4 greater enters the battlefield under your control, populate. The amount of 4 mana 4/4s we have is kind of ridiculous. 4, 6, 7, 4. That doesn't count. We'll see. Yeah, XX cards get real expensive real fast. Yes. You are correct, Serby. Alright, Muster the Departed. I've seen this everywhere. What is this again? When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 spirit. Beginning your end step, if a creature died this turn, populate. Aight. That's decent enough. It is so easy to just kill a dude. Yeah, get out of here. Nesting Dovehawk. 4 mana, 2/2. At the beginning of combat, your turn, populate. Another creature token enters battlefield under control. +1/+1 on the Dovehawk. Alright. I like this. With this deck, so this is just sort of spur of the moment here. With this deck and the tokens go wide deck, I had 2 different mindsets. All right. One mindset is I wanted to focus more on token makers in the go wide deck, because that was something I didn't really have in the initial build of Reese the Redeemed. And I almost doubled the amount of token makers in that deck, and now it works really well. I was able to carve back just a little bit from that. In Trostani, I'm not afraid to run more doublers / populate effects. In a Reese the Redeemed, I'm only really running it, Parallel Lives, Anointed Procession, and Doubling Season. That's it. The 3 big guys. And the commander. In this deck, though, I feel like having multiple effects that give you the populate is better to run. Again, we're going quality over quantity here. So when we do land that 1 5-cost, 6-cost spell, we want to populate it as many times as we can, either automatically or through other means. What do we got here? Serby. How many squad creatures did you put apart from the honor guard? All right, so that So right now we have the Securitron Squadron from Fallout. That is whenever creature token enters battlefield under your control, you can put a +1/+1 on it. So this becomes like a mini Cathar's Crusade after a while. We got Space Marine Devastator, 4 mana and 2 when it enters the battlefield, disenchant. And then this was the Honor Guard. So at the moment I've got those, and then I've got one of the Offspring cards so far. I haven't gotten around to searching other Offspring mechanic cards that got spoiled since then, but Offspring is on my radar. Nesting Dovehawk. Okay, so that's in there. Rootborn Defenses. I mean, that's pretty freaking good. I mean, let's put it this way, like, Rootborn Defenses is a classic for token strategies, regardless of how you play token strategies. It's really difficult to get that card cut. And when it is, it's probably for a good reason. Scion of Vitugazi enters battlefield. You cast it from your hand. Put a 1/1 bird. Then populate. Oh yeah, that's right. This was worded in such a way so that if you ended up making a copy of this thing, it wouldn't just infinitely chain populate. Neato. Exile target creature card from a graveyard. Populate. I don't mind Grave Hate. I don't. I'm going to put that in Selesnya. Eulogist. That's going in the maybe board. Things that are more what I'll call removal based go in the maybe board for now. Song of the World Soul. Whenever you cast a spell, populate. I mean, come on. That feels like, let's go in there. Yeah, it is absolutely win more, but we can always cut this if it becomes too clunky. Sudden growth, again, feels great. I don't feel wrong putting this kind of... What am I doing here? I'm spelling this wrong, isn't I? Here, Sundering Growth. I don't mind putting like Sundering Growth or Rootborn Defenses in here because these feel really tight with token strategies already. So like that's like nothing. Tristani. Oh, don't know if we can fit that in there. Tristani's Judgment. Way too expensive. Vitugazi Guildmage is pretty nice. Having a mana sink that is populate is pretty good. This only gets cut if we end up just with strictly better ways of populating. Wayfaring Temple, power and toughness equal to number of creatures you control. Hey, we had a little conversation about that. When Wayfaring Temple deals combat damage to a player, populate. Does not have trample, but I have a feeling in this deck I might have ways of giving creatures trample that don't naturally have it. So that is a potential, but early game it's still just kind of bleh. Is there anything else in here? No. All right, since populate, let's do Offspring. What do you got here? Yeah, the science shows an amount of forethought that they didn't have with the Caretaker's talent. I know, right? It's kind of nuts. Woo. Yeah, Caretaker's talent, 3 blind mice. If you already have a token that's out of these, you just go really crazy really fast. But that's not what I'm trying to abuse with this deck per se. So like if it happens, cool, but I'm not going to try to shoehorn it in if it doesn't naturally fit. Really? This is all the green white Offspring there are? That even doesn't technically count. All right, what does Adipose Offspring have here? Emerge 6. When it enters, create a 2/2 white alien can emerge, instead create X of those tokens, where X is the sacrifice creature's toughness. Do spend that creature's mana value. It's neato, but it is not burrito. Alright. I think literally there might be only 2 Offspring that actually do anything for me. And we've already got like the big one. Offspring 2. When this creature enters, may forage. Nope. When this creature becomes target of a spell of ability first time. Nope. When this creature enters, target creature control gets. Nope. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability and opponent controls, +1/+1 on target creature control. Other than that, nope. This creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Nope. This would have only been good if this was like squad rather than offspring. If the token was also a 4/4, yeah. Adipose is for your go wide deck. So, again, not going to give huge spoilers here. I don't run enough creatures that have converted mana cost to utilize it. I don't. It's funny and sad, but I actually don't have anything that has a converted mana cost that I can sacrifice for that emerge cost. It's funny. Yeah, it's fair. Fair. I went a really different direction than I thought I would end up going with that deck, and I'm kind of glad I kept my mind open while designing it, because I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I cannot wait to be able to get the cards in for it and start attempting to play things. Eventually, maybe possibly, when, as, and if I get enough viewers, you know, hint, hint, like and subscribe, follow me on Twitch, all that good stuff. I would like to do like spell table EDH streams. That would be really nice. But for the meantime, I just want to get my old decks that have been sitting and rotting away updated and feeling fresh and new again in the modern world of Commander. Back when I started, when it was literally EDH and Commander was not a printed product, decks were very, very different. The world has changed. The meta at large has changed. I don't play competitive decks. I never have, and I probably never will. Except for that one time when I did borrow somebody's CEDH deck and locked the table down on turn 3. That was a game. But yeah, I got it. I'm just having so much fun updating my decks right now. Let's see here. Where was I? Steelbearer Champion. 1/1 with Vigilance. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. I think that's a no. I don't think this is the right deck for it. Yeah, CDH is interesting, but not what I'm after either. Exactly. I think so. Like, story time. I played in a play group once where one person was definitely a spike, like textbook spike, but he was pretty chill. He was not a douche. He was not mean or anything like that. He just wanted to play optimally. And one of his boogeyman decks was, oh, what was it? Oh, Tasigur. He played a Tasigur deck. And one day, after, you know, whatever it was just like, hey, do you want to switch decks? Like, you want to swap decks, essentially. Like, here, you play this deck of mine, I'll play your deck for a change, or you play one of your other decks and see how this one goes up against it. I was like, oh, okay. And I mulliganed once. I looked at my hand and I went, I am so sorry. And I think turn 1, yeah, with counter magic backup, I was able to Isochron Scepter, Arcane Denial, resolve it through a counter spell, and then proceed to be able to counterlock the entire board with like dramatic reversal and others. It got bad real fast. Oh my god. And I was like, yeah, I'm never doing that again. I did it once, I got it out of my system. Yeah, it is disgusting. It was awful. I was just like, I'm so sorry. And I was able to pull it, and he was just like, no, dude, that was impressive. And then we switched up and we just played some more, you know, quick games of EDH for the next 4 hours. Anywho. this one right here might have a possibility of being in my deck, y'all. Tender Wild Guide, Offspring for 2. So for 4 mana, I get 2 mana dorks. All right, so if I have the time to draw it late game, I get 2 mana dorks, and I can just keep populating mana dorks. That's not bad. It's really not bad. I think that's going in the maybe pile up here with all the other tabs. You know, man, with all the big stuff in there. Yeah. Right now, I'm just looking at, like, here's all the good stuff. And then it's going to be like, all right, let's fit in a mana ramp package. Let's fit in, you know, removal package. Figure out the lands aside from our placeholder 38 forests here. This is just the roughest of rough stuff. What is another good mechanic keyword that has been making copies of creatures? There's Myriad, Encore. Ooh, Encore could be cool. Let's see, Encore. Angel of Indemnity. Lifelink. Flying when Angel of Indemnity enters battlefield, return target permanent card with mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Encore for 8 mana. Alright. Thin-clade fugitives. Okay. Can be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Encore. Alright. That goes into like the big duders theme too. Kanji's Lieutenant. Not in this deck, I don't think. Kinsbale Courier. Nope. Ah, man. What we got here? Need some mana. I think my favorite way to make a deck is under intense self-imposed restrictions. My Aura Skyclave Hierophant deck has literally only lands and clerics and a couple of changelings. Yes. I'm not going to get terribly off topic, but I will say I have a couple of decks that are exactly like that. Restriction breeds creativity has been my tenet in Magic for a very long time. And sometimes I have to take the restriction off to be like, nope, I tried it, didn't work. Let me wait and do it again, or like, nope, let's just play a deck where I can actually play a game. But I do have decks in here that are like that. Do I want a tangent right now? Do I want a tangent? Yes, I do. All right, so let me go to my decks. I'll show you a couple so that we're not too terrible here. So here's a good one. This one is admittedly not my original design. I found this on the old commander.net forums years ago. Unfortunately, I did not save the original creator's username, so sorry, dude, I don't have your original name. But this is a Child of Alara Pauper deck. This is Child of Alara. I put in a maybe board here because of some recent printings where I'm like, ooh, this could update things like the mana base. But basically, because no one actually plays a literal Pauper EDH with the whole uncommon thing and then everything's, no one does that. No one. I've not run into a single human being that does that. Or slime. Child of Alara is the commander, and you are basically playing a grindy control deck that will forever wipe the board and then win through perhaps the most tedious of wins. Now, what do you mean by tedious of wins? I mean my win condition. My win condition is capsize. And my other win condition is rolling thunder. which is just Fireball. Those are my win conditions. I have played this deck a number of times, and it has a really interesting engine to it. Like, it uses land cards for card draw. You get back creatures and counter spells. You transmute for things like getting Grim Harvest over and over. Evolution Charm is technically a return Child of Alara back to hand, that sort of stuff. There's a lot going on here. Rhystic Study, Mystic Remora. Back before that went insane in prize. You can tell how old this deck is because Yavimaya Elder was like the ramp thing along with Sakura Tribe Elder. Can't tell if that's sadistic or masochistic. I mean, it's playing Ulamog's Crusher, so I'd call it competitive. We got Muldrifter Bounce, Mnemonic Wall, Archaeomancer, Ardent Elementalist. There's been a couple updates I did because, like, originally this was like, is it Chronarch or whatever it was called? Dimir House Guard. That got me, what does that tutor for? Like, there's a couple of transmute cards that go get a specific thing. That gets me, might get me like Archaeomancer, Ardent Elementalist, but I feel like there was a different one that it got me. I think it might get me Teachings to then get me like Ghostly Flicker. Because being able to Ghostly Flicker, recur your, you know, instant sorcery things and start bouncing or valuing is pretty good. Oh, did I lose connection for a second there? Maybe I just refreshed. Hopefully I didn't lose you guys. Sorry about that. Twitch is being annoying today. Okay. But yeah, this deck, like Merchant Scroll, we've got some really clunky mana ramp. It is a true 5-color deck in all of its like glory. Mind Extraction. Oh boy, Mind Extraction. You ever want to piss someone off? Cast Mind Extraction with Child of Alara in play. As an additional cost to cast Mind Extraction, sacrifice a creature. So, as an additional cost, Wrath the board. Target player reveals their hand and then discards all colored cards from their hand. Yup. Take that, combo player. There's a reason why I'm also looking at things like Take Up the Body. This is not in the deck, this is in the maybe board. Take Up the Body. 3 mana. A casualty 1. As you cast this spell, I can sacrifice Child of Alara and copy it. Mill 2 cards and then return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Oh wait, Child of Alara went to the graveyard before this resolved. I can get Child back. Yeah, no vomit emotes yet. I don't have enough followers for that. But yeah, no, this deck gets disgusting. And I mean, look at that curve. I mean, okay, sure, like a couple of these are X spells. Like this is an X spell. What was it? Rolling Thunder's an X spell. I think there's a cover. Yeah, Death Denied's an X spell. Aside from that, this is a pretty sick deck. And the biggest change that I would want to do is literally just add in the dual artifact lands to make Trinket Mage just that much better. Like just redoing the lands package, because I mean, Pauper, okay, not Pauper, but common lands for EDH have gotten significantly better as time has gone on. The difficulty lies in almost all of them come into play tapped, which slows this deck to a crawl. It has no early game. I don't know why I even have this up still. Well, you know what? I'll have that up there because there's no way in heck we were talking about the same thing with these 2 pages. But yeah, this deck, again, whoever you mystery person on EDH.net was who I took this from, you did good. And this is now a favorite of mine. And it's freaking cheap. It's like $100, like maybe. So that's one deck that had a stupid, silly restriction in it. All right. Where's another deck that has a stupid, silly restriction in it? Oh, here's one. This one is even more sadistic. This is Alluro Cop Tribal. Cop Tribal? What do you mean? Circle of Protection Tribal, buddy. Think of stacks without having to sacrifice lands. I have played this deck a couple of times. So the fun story of this deck was I set myself a building challenge that ended up getting scrapped. But from it, I got this deck that almost kind of fits into it. And maybe nowadays it does, given the amount of rarity shifts we had. I was going to build a deck that, with the exception of basic lands and the commander, was all uncommons. Let me repeat that. A deck was going to be, except for the commander and lands, all uncommons. You've had rare deck, you've had common deck, but I've not seen a single person pull off uncommon deck. So that's where this came from. Signets technically were reprinted at the uncommon stage. Sol Ring is uncommon. Sun Droplet, uncommon. Burnished Heart, oh god, this card. Uncommon. Every Circle of Protection is an uncommon. Ghostly Prison, Paradox Haze, Propaganda, Sphere of Safety, Story Circle, technically an uncommon from Mercadian Masks. So there is a lot in this deck that was just uncommons. Counterspell, Dissipate, back when this card was insane. You know, Forbid, Enlightened Tutor, Mystical Tutor, Lindell's Vault, Hinder. Oh, this was really telling the age of the deck now. Path to Exile, Swords, Plowshares. So when the uncommon only strategy died, Demonic Tutor, Demonic Tutor, I just went all out on, all right, let me take this Esper Control Shell and turn it into just a more viable deck. I'll keep a whole bunch of uncommons, but otherwise it's just like, all right, I can play Alhammer's Archive. I can play Chromatic Lantern to fix Crawl Space. And then I was like, oh wait, I have all these Circle of Protections. I have rares now that can permanently change the colors of whatever I need to change. Is there even a single creature apart from Felidar? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're getting to that. So we have things like Distorting Lens that help. We have Drogskull Reaper, so I'm always gaining life with Alluro. I draw more cards. Silent Arbiter. It is a very creature light deck, and this is basically the deck where you are going to stall out with your win condition being Debt to the Deathless, Exsanguinate, or literally Test of Endurance. I think that's what it's called. Yep, Test of Endurance. Beginning of your upkeep, if you have 50 or more life, you win. Yeah. And all damage from an artifact source. Blech. Make 4/4 angels just constantly. Felidar, yep, that's a win con. Death Grip, counter target whatever color I want spell for just 2 black. Flooded Woodlands, no whatever color I want creature can attack unless its controller sacrifices a land whenever that creature attacks. Seems good. This deck was obnoxious, to put it lightly. But wait, we're not done yet. No. We are not done yet. We have my Voltron deck. Hope of Girapur. It's Klefki. Go Jingle Jangle. I have a 1-mana Thop. And then I have every single sword at the time in the deck. Sword of Body and Mind, Feast, Famine, Fire and Ice, Sword of Cauldra. This is absolutely getting cut, by the way. It's obnoxious. Sword of Light and Shadow, War and Peace. This was before the Modern Horizons swords were printed. Oh, what's that? Etched Champion. Reality Smasher. It's just like, as like you can see, this was also before Strixhaven. So there's like no non-artifact cards. There's no instants or sorceries. Hope Voltron? Yes, sir. Champion's Helm, extra planar lens, which works with basic wastes. So good. Felwar Stone. I don't care what color your lands are producing because it'll produce colorless. Bloodforged Battle Axe, Blank Mothurn, Basalt Monolith. If I had the money for a Grim Monolith, or I found a playgroup that would allow me to play my gold border Grim Monolith, I totally would. Mana Vault. Ghost Fireblade. I have yet to assemble Cauldra. Masterwork of Ingenuity. O Naginata. Stratascythe. Thran Dynamo, Thought Vessel, Trading Post. Like, there's a couple of really clunky cards in here, but then you get things like Trailblazer's Boots, and you go, I'm so sorry, you're never blocking this little Thop again. What was one of the other restrictions I did? That was just like kind of crazy. At least one that I built and I have up here. Odric Army of Angels. This one is Angel Tribal. It's old and needs a bit of an update. But this deck can get kind of insane. Because you're just playing big beater angels here. And you have a small tokens suite. Land Tax in here, Weathered Wayfarer. These are old EDH cards. Way back. You have things like Mobilization, Sacred Mesa to make, this was even before Ephemerate. Lol. Holy Day was just a meme card from my old play group. Wanted to keep it in there. But it's sort of got like a reanimate angel theme to it. Like there's a lot of like get stuff back from the graveyard. And it's pretty fun. And you can just break through things by playing and attacking with Odric, because it's just like, oh, it attacks. I decide what happens in combat, guys. So much fun. Let's see here. This one I need to, oh, tell me about the Shirei deck. Oh, okay. Shirei is one that I have designed, but I have not built. For a while, and I still kind of do, I want to have a commander deck of every color combination. This was going to be my mono black deck. So we have type, alphabet. Let's do by type, mana cost. There we go. So Shirei, Shizu's Caretaker is Aristocrats. Pure and simple, it's just Aristocrats. We've got Skull Clamp, we've got Spawning Pit, Ashnod's Altar, Desecrated Tomb goes crazy. Mithril Cult was a really interesting protection card, I think. Again, haven't put any money into this. Then we've got our aristocratic type creatures. So we've got Blood Pet, Fume Spitter, Serrated Scorpion, Shambling Ghast, even Apprentice Necromancer just to get back other things. A whole bunch of card draw. I think there are ones now where it's like draw a card, gain 1 life. I'd have to do a new search. It's been a minute since I've looked at this deck. Priest of the Forgotten Gods, mana and draw card. Again, mana with Soldavi Adnate. Ira, First of Lochthwain. Bottle Gnomes, get back some of that life. Grim Haruspex, more card draw. Smothering Abomination, this is just hilarious, I think. Could get cut, but just more engine. What really spurred me on was the spoiling of Drivnod Carnage Dominos. This made me go, wow, Aristocrats could really do something with this card now. Of course, we have Tormod here. We have Gary. Of course, we have Gary. Sir Conrad. So we have a bunch of we have an amount of payoffs. Then we have our Recursion Suite. We have Phyrexian Reclamation. We have some protection spells with like Dark Privilege, Blessing of Leeches. Dictative Erebos is funny. Then we have some sacrifice effects, token effects. Again, some protection for our commander. Not dead after all. Wake the Dead is sort of a reset button. Overwhelming Remorse, and I thought there was one other one in here, maybe not. Overwhelming Remorse, definitely we're going to have creatures in the graveyard at some point. Let's just instant exile something. Coffers, Crypt of Agadeem, High Market, Nykthos, Tower, Urborg, Westvale Abbey because lol. But yeah, I got pretty far here. Like Exsanguinate's pretty fun as just sort of a way to offset a lot of that lose 1 life, draw a card, lose 1 life, make a treasure or whatever it is. Dread Return is kind of more of a like, let me get back Shirei or one of my finishers that go to the graveyard. So every small sack synergy ever. Yes. Yes. Victimize, Feed the Swarm. So it is a pretty lean, mean deck. 36 lands here because I do want to get up to 5 mana for Shirei. I do run some amount of artifact ramp here, like Sol Ring, Thought Vessel, but it's like not crazy. I do have Dark Rit, right? Yeah, I have Dark Ritual. I'm not running like Cabal Ritual or anything like that. I'm not trying to turbo here because let's face it, this deck can get stomped. This deck can just get like overwhelmed by a regular precon, probably very easily. But I want to try and do some sort of like a combo-y deck. Shira 1/1 makes it res itself if it dies. That is true. I just don't know how to go about it. And it's sort of like okay, that is a 1 synergy. Like, okay, if it's got a targeted removal spell to it, like maybe Fume Spitter. Maybe Fume Spitter works. I don't know. There's probably ways to do it, but yeah, this is definitely Heartless Summoning, you say. Yeah, it's just a shame that it literally kills everything else. I mean, yeah, it enters and then state-based effects dies, so it comes back with Shirei. Cool. But I don't know. Pretty much. It's sort of like you could do a Heartless Summoning to just start going off like immediately, and then like, but here's the thing. So like the cards die instantly, and then everything comes back at end of turn, then dies instantly again, and I don't think they come back. I forget if the trigger can delay to the end step of the next turn. I don't know. But whatever. Let's go back here. I think there was one other one I wanted to touch base on. Doing some decks for friends. Yes, they do. It works. It comes back every turn. Oh, okay. Might be something I put on a maybe board. So this is like the other one before we go back to Trostani that I'm very happy about. This one I think is... I'm very surprised that this deck is one of my favorite decks, and it's possibly one of the best built decks I've ever done, but it's really just like an upgraded precon. Marith, Will of the Wild. This is my EDH teacher deck, as I call it. So like, this is my lender. I lend this out to people. I loan it out to people so they can play a couple games with it if they don't have a deck or if they're new to Magic. And this is fantastic. So this deck has a couple of requirements. One, it is Beast Tribal. Two, every card, if possible, must be up to the most current rules wording. So if I have a card, I wanted to explain what fight does. Unfortunately, I don't have a version that explains what regenerate means. But other things are like if it enters the battlefield rather than if it enters play. You know, create a token rather than put a token into play, that sort of thing. I think the one card that's not up to date is Paleoloth, and that says whenever another creature with power 5 or greater comes into play under your control, etc., etc. There's not been another printing since Conflux. Yeah, and now it's just enters. So like I said, like within reason, like eventually cards will get updated with the most recent ruling, but they are recent enough that people will understand that. So like add 1 mana of any color versus just add 2 to your mana pool. I feel like that's acceptable. People will understand that. So all good. But yeah, this deck is surprisingly insane. Like the cards are not more complicated than Marith. Marith is essentially the most complicated card in this deck. There's really only tutors for lands, basically. The removal is very straightforward, and there's a lot of Timmy cards in here. So like we have like Warstorm Surge. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, deals damage equal to its power to any target. Cool. Rhythm of the Wild. Have a riot, and then it explains it. Choice of +1/+1s or haste. We have trample effects, draw power. This deck is so much fun, and it just plays cards like Woolly Thoktar, Battlefront Krushak. There's technically an infinite combo in here with Herd Baloth and Ivy Lane Denizen. I have yet to assemble them on the board state at the same time, but basically I can have Ivy Lane Denizen out, cast Herd Baloth, it enters, it enters, put a +1/+1 on it, cool, make a token, token enters, oops, put a +1/+1 on it, make a token, etc., etc. But for essentially what I'm calling just a loner, simple to grok EDH deck for newbies or for people that just don't have a deck to play with us, it is incredibly good, incredibly basic. Like the mana base is nothing special. I think like there's even stuff in here where it's like, man, I wish I could upgrade this to like a couple other cards, maybe not shock lands, but like, you know, some of the better lands in here, like maybe was it Battlefield Forge or whatever. It's playing things like True Love's Kiss, Shower of Arrows, Naya Charm. and I love how it turned out. It's so much fun. I think I'm most proud of this deck currently. Which is what I would normally say if I hadn't just finished this version of Reese. Your message got auto-modded. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not see that occur. Oops. There we go. Didn't ping when it auto-modded. There we go. Just finished that. Simply Smash deck. I mean, I can see why I got auto-modded. It's very close to something else. And I know you weren't going to say that's something else. So, all good. Yeah, it might be. I certainly did not set it to that. It might just be a... might have been because it was all caps. Might have been because it was all caps. Oh. Nope, you're right. You are absolutely right. That's probably it, Serby. Don't worry, I'm not going to try to ban you, so... If that just happens, again, just reach out. You're good, man. All right, back to Trostani. I've only got a little bit here before I have to head out. So let's do a little bit more on the Trostani build. I've been just, I love talking about EDH. Next to playing Pauper and playing Modern, EDH really is one of my highlights. And I wish I had capabilities of playing it more. That's why I definitely want to, in the long term, if I get enough followers, if I get enough fans that want to interact with me in the chat, what have you, having like a spell table stream day, maybe once a month or something like that, where we can all just play Commander, would be really cool. But I, one, don't have nearly enough people here. Serby, no offense, but you are just one dude. And I would have to figure out how to do webcam setup and lighting and whatever for that. And I am just too lazy to do that right now. Maybe in the future. But yeah, hopefully more people enjoy this kind of a stream. I'd love to do it from time to time, where I'm just chatting, yapping, I guess, as the kids say, and building decks. Because I love tinkering. I love theory crafting and deck building. Especially when it's going to be for a deck that I want to make. Like, I want to buy the cards almost as soon as I'm done and have it in my roster. But there's also a lot of fun of theory crafting a deck and just keeping that in the folder and having a lot of fun puzzle solving and finding solutions to problems or restrictions that I impose on myself. Or sometimes it's just as simple as, let's go to EDH Rec and build a deck here. It's like, ooh, there's Vaultborn. Ooh, there's Adventure of Zendikar. All that stuff. So for the moment, let's see what we have so far. We've got Chariot, we got Helm, Banana Coronas. Oh, everything's sorted back to mana value now. Okay. Securitron Squadron, Vitugazi Guildmage, that's our Populate on a stick. Bramble Sovereign makes more tokens. Nesting Dove Hawk, Space Marine Devastator, Timeless Witness, Honor Guard, War Leader, Gruff Triplets, Woodger Tot, Giant Ataphage, Vaultborn Tyrant. Got Battle, Talent, City of Death, Muster Departed, Three Blind, Song of the World Soul. A couple of cards I know are going to be here regardless. We got Rootcast Apprenticeship, 4 mana for essentially Populate 3. Sure. Evoke the Ancients, and then this is going to be some Grave Hate potentially. You know, Serby, I've never heard it put so eloquently, but you are correct. EDH Rec actually suffers the same problem as AI image generation. You only get out of it what you put in. And if it becomes an echo chamber based on itself, then that's all you're going to get out of it. EDH Rec is a tool. It is a tool in a toolbox. And that's why I always go to Scryfall first, or search Reddit, or watch YouTube videos. EDH Rec is there as a tool. And there was an amount of time where I got sucked down to the, well, I gotta put what's in here. This is a high percentage card. But I stepped back from that. It's like, okay, here's Tristani, right? This is just aggregate any amount, any deck. It's not limited to life gain, populate, whatever. Pyrexene Processor. Yes, this card is absolutely nutsos with Trostani. What do you want to bet that the first time you cast this and you pay 20 life, that there's a disenchant headed its way immediately, or there's a murder or a hero's end going straight to Trostani's face, so you can't get back that life. It's good, but you gotta take it with a grain of salt here, like Armada Worm. Maybe this is good enough. Is a 5/5 with trample for 6 mana good enough? Probably, but are there more interesting specialized tokens that I could get? Also probably. So there's a lot that I can do here. Like, of course, do I want to cultivate Ramping Growth, Dama's Reach, Path to Exile? Yes, absolutely. But I feel like there are things that I would want to add regardless of what an aggregate site has. And this is no diss on EDH Rec. This is no diss on EDH Rec. I think they are a wonderful site with a wonderful tool, and perhaps sometime in the future, in my opinion, perhaps sometime in the future, they may do a, let's say like a restart or a reboot, or maybe a culling. I don't know what you want to say, but they may update the way that they source their data from whatever websites, or maybe they do it, you know, do they cut out like the early years of EDH, or maybe they take out decks that we know this is a precon, so we're just going to ignore all deck lists that are 98% precon with no changes. Maybe. I don't know if you could even code that, but it'd be interesting to see if there was a refresh on it to see what kind of from scratch decks people make nowadays. Don't know. Hello, what is this? Vibrant Toucan. Have I gathered all the magic yet? Nope, we are still gathering. We are 64 out of 100 in our gathering. Welcome to the chat though, Toucan. Hope you enjoy watching the deck building stream. Normally on Mondays I play Pauper on Magic the Gathering Online. A bunch of wonderful commons only battles. But this week I'm taking a week off and doing some deck brewing and just kind of yapping about EDH, my love for the format and all the decks that I've built for it. Yeah, building a commander deck. So the long story short with this is I have a Priest the Redeemed deck that at the beginning of this month, the beginning of July, I decided I'm going to rebuild this from the ground up. It's an old deck. It's one of my earliest decks that I've changed and updated and upgraded time and time again. But I've fallen out of love with it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to scrap it and start from scratch. I have 2 options. I have a fork in the road that I can choose one path. Do I want to go wide with tokens, have a big swarm, and I don't care what kind of tokens they are, just that I have a whole bunch of bodies? Or do I want to go with quality over quantity? And that's the Tristani deck here. I've already designed in private off stream the Reese Go Wide Token Swarm replacement. And that's the one I'm going to be building right now and buying and, you know, physically sleeping up. This one, though, I still want to do as a thought experiment, because eventually when I have the monies, I'd love to have an option. Like today, do I feel like making 1,000,000 creatures, or do I want to make some creatures that are just super value and hard to deal with or whatever? So that's what this is, and this is what I've been working on. We've been doing a bunch of searches. So this one is a search for like populate cards. We have a bunch of sort of old standbys that we've found and some other tabs here that I'm keeping sort of as a maybe board. But yeah, I'm just kind of looking at all these cards going like, ooh, this could be fun for the deck. Conclave Evangelist, Fire Waste Blob, Ramana 2, all these wonderful little things here. I wish I knew what these things meant. Aww. Well, if you're still new to Magic, the best advice I can give is just keep your ears open, ask questions, and don't be afraid to do some Google searches, and definitely just kind of dip your toes ever deeper into the water. I have a lot of experience with Magic, and I have a almost encyclopedic knowledge of an amount of Magic. But there's a lot of new cards that I don't know. And that's why I'm taking this new approach of just search up everything as broad strokes as I can and see what comes out of it. If you like the sound of a 612 trample token, look up Stone Idol. Oh, yes. Do you think recommending MTG Arena is a good idea these days for newbies? Actually, yes. I think... Now, I have strong opinions on MTG Arena overall. But I think if you really want to get started, there are two great ways of getting started in Magic the Gathering and just picking up, you know, the game and learning it from, you know, step one. And that is either going to a local game store. So if you have a local card store that sells Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, they might very well sell Magic the Gathering as well. And I would recommend wholeheartedly picking up a pre-constructed deck. It's called a pre-con. Definitely consider picking up a pre-con. Almost doesn't matter which one. Pick up one, read all the cards. You can look up rules online, just Google search it. There's tons of forums or Reddit pages that can help you learn the deck or learn what each card does and what it means. And of course, since you're at a local game store, there are probably going to be people there that'd be more than happy to sit down and be like, tell you, here's how a turn in the game works. And this is what you can do. This is what your opponent can do. Here's what a land does. Here's what a creature does. Everything, just from the start. The second thing I would recommend is Magic the Gathering Arena. Magic the Gathering Arena is very new person friendly. Has a lot of cool visuals. And while for a very enfranchised player like myself, there are some things that could be better. I think for a new person getting in that just wants to play the game, it's perfect. It is great. One other thing I would suggest And let's see if I can pull this up in a different tab, and I'll just drag this over real quick. Here we go. All right, let's pull you over here real quick. Ta-da! All right, Battle Decks by Card Kingdom. I highly recommend. There are different stores that have decks like this. I know Cool Stuff Inc. also has them. But yeah, like Card Kingdom has battle decks. I think Cool Stuff Inc. calls them rookie decks, maybe. But these are cheap, you know, $12, $15 decks that are made from a lot of very simple cards, very easy to understand cards, and are put together by people that know Magic for a beginner-friendly deck. And I even made a few myself so that I could bring those over to other friends in my area that, like, I'll play board games with, I'll play D&D with, but they don't play Magic. And I can use this to help, you know, make a nice deck. So here, for example, is my rookie deck for white. And this is just mono white, it's just white cards, everything's simple. And we play Flyers, we play Vigilance. There's a couple of interesting cards that do unique things, like Imprint Tactician. We have a little bit of life gain here, but like the big beater is Sarah Angel. Super classic. Everything explains what it does. You have some removal, you have some pump, and you have basic lands, and that's it. Like the blue deck. The blue deck is draw cards, flying, tempo, you know, draw a card, bounce a creature, tap a creature. Super simple. I like these kinds of decks. So if you find a rookie deck or a battle deck or something like that, definitely pick one up. I started with Arena. Yeah. Want to know what made me stop playing Arena? The oodles of uncommon wildcards I had sitting around doing nothing while I was starving for all the other rarities. Boy. Yeah. Like I said, I've got strong opinions on Arena. There are definitely things that could be made better for everyone involved. But definitely play some more of it and just branch out. Watch some YouTube videos. There are some definitely fine and interesting beginner series, beginner guides to Magic the Gathering out there. Perhaps one day I'll make my own. But until I do, I definitely recommend, I think Evan Irwin had a beginner's guide for Magic the Gathering that I had seen that I liked. But that was several years ago, so it may be a bit out of date now. But yeah, look it up on YouTube. You can definitely do that. I only played IRL Magic once so far. That's okay. But it certainly does help when you have that person across the table from you and you can just ask questions and be like, I don't understand. But like, what can I do? Or why is this wrong? Or why is this? And someone can definitely sit down and help you learn the game. And it's just going through the motions. Rinse and repeat. Build up that muscle memory. Untap, upkeep, draw, first main phase, combat. Declare your attacks. Declare box. Damage happens. Your second main phase. And then you end your turn. Rinse, repeat. So, yeah, I think Magic Arena would be great. Unfortunately, they don't have Commander. Toucan, I wish I could play Commander. Yeah. Arena, I don't think is set up for Commander currently. That's another big downside of it. But like I said, Commander is available in a lot of avenues. If you go to a local Walmart or a Target, assuming you don't have a local game store, if you go to like a Walmart or a Target, they do sell Commander decks there, pre-cons, pre-constructed decks. You have much better luck buying one of those that looks nifty, and just pick one up and get started with it. Find some IRL friends of yours where maybe you can just play at the kitchen table, play you know, in the TV room, and put up a movie or a live stream on the television and just play on the ground, you know, play on the floor or play on a table or something like that, depending on your age. You know, crack open a couple of cold ones. I'm talking soda, of course. Yeah, but there are like dozens of them. You can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong. You know, when you have played a bit more of the game, then you can make up your mind about, is this the right deck for me? Should I buy a different one? I wasn't having fun with this. You know, what's the point? Well, maybe there's a different one. If a certain color combination didn't work for you, let's say you picked up a red-black deck and you just didn't have fun with it, it didn't vibe with you, it didn't gel with you, that's fine. Maybe the red-black deck you just set aside and you'll come back to it later, right? Opinions change, thoughts change, it's fine. Even if it's months later, you still have it. Don't need to get rid of it. Just put it in a little box, rubber band it or what have you. Pick up, you know, a white-blue deck, or like a red-green-white deck or something like that. Pick that one up. See if that does anything different, because the different synergies and philosophies of the cards, you don't need to get mired down in right now when you're starting, but other people have got mired down in it so that they can make a pre-con that gels in a different way from the one next to it on the shelf. So find what works for you. Don't need to spend hundreds of dollars, but let's say, you know, Bloomburrow just came out, right? Bloomburrow is the brand new Magic set that is coming out in this coming week, right? There are going to be Commander decks for it. I think there's 4 of them. If you have the money, and only if you have the money, go ahead and buy like 2 of them. Find 2 different ones from Bloomburrow and see if you can find ones that have no color crossover, or like there's a white, blue, green one, and there's one that's green, black. I guarantee they play very differently from what you're expecting. I think there's a red blue one maybe, or a red blue black one. Try that, see how it works for you. Only played Arena and pre-release so far. Well, that's great. Hey, take your time, enjoy the journey is basically what it is. It took me several years to learn Magic. That's because while I was in school and while I was getting this little Slimu education, I had so many other things to do that I couldn't really focus on playing games. So it took a while for me to learn. But guess what? I did. And it doesn't have to happen overnight. And you're going to get frustrated with yourself. You're going to get frustrated with the game going, oh, I didn't know that was a rule, or that didn't work the way I expected it to. It's fine. Just learn the game, play the game, be like, ooh, that's a pretty creature. Like, ooh, that's an elf, or ah, look at this sick looking centaur. Like, oh my god, I want to play with that. Like, here's some more sick centaurs. Like, you want to play centaur deck? Do it. You want to play with a whole bunch of birds because you like watching birds in real life or what have you? Make a bird deck. You want to have soldiers and quote unquote go to war? You can build like a battle themed deck There's really no wrong way of doing it. And as long as you ask questions, keep your minds open, you'll be good. Thank you, no thank you, Toucan. I'm glad that you stopped by. I hope you stick around for another stream. I stream Magic-related streams every Monday. I try to do it at 2 o'clock, but I know today technical difficulties were getting in my way. But yeah, next week I'm going to be, actually next week I'm going to be away, so I will not be streaming. But the following week, the second week of August, I will be back with some more Magic streams with Pauper and potentially more deck building. We'll see. But yeah, I'm going to be taking a bit of a break. One, from streaming, and two, just from social media. It's a crazy world out there, folks, and sometimes you just need to detox. Yeah. Rather than get myself down and get myself depressed, I'm going to just turn off for a while and be back in like 2 weeks. And, be recharged. All right, let's see here. Some types have more synergies than others. Yeah. But hey, you know what? As long as you're having fun, it doesn't matter if they necessarily synergize. You can just play a whole bunch of things that you just really like. That's pretty much it. Like, for example, let me go over here real quick to one of my other decks. Boom, 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 boom. So this is my original build of Mael. I've recently rebuilt this. But this is a Mael 5-power Stompy deck. So what it cares about, Mael cares about creatures that have power 5 or greater. Okay? So I run an amount of cards that are like Thundermaw Hellkite, Inferno Titan, Vigor, Wormcoil Engine. All of these cards individually do things. Do they necessarily synergize with each other? No. But when you get down a big 6/6 flyer that when it deals combat damage to the opponent, it deals that much damage to each creature they control, it doesn't really matter if it synergizes with the giant bull or oxen over here. It's just really cool. Another big boy deck, synergies for blue, Gruul Smash. You are absolutely correct. This was my first EDH deck that I have been carefully maintaining for years and years and years. But it's a whole lot of fun. But the mana curve in it is absolutely abysmal. Look at that. This is horrible. Look at that mana curve. It isn't. It's a flat line. Oh my god. So, oh my god. So yeah, I did take this apart, and I'm in the process of rebuilding it with more synergies, because that's just kind of what I'm into right now. But like, I loved having a Chroma, Angel of Wrath. Flying for strike, trample, haste, protection from black, protection from red, vigilance. The big beater. I liked having Wormcoil Engine, 6/6 Death Touch lifelink, that when it dies you get a lifelink and a Death Touch. Big beater. Loved it. Inferno Titan. Do you know what this is? It's a big beater that also lightning bolts things. Love it. So yeah. You don't have to get too mired down in the weeds if you don't want to. But yeah, Magic is a big game, and it is many games for many people. For me, it's a puzzle game. I love putting together these puzzles, like with Tristani here, which eventually I might get back to. I don't know. Like, I want to make a Token Matters deck that is more about quality than quantity. But I do want to copy and get more of those tokens. So the puzzle I need to solve is, what tokens do I get and how much of them is enough and how much of them is too much. Yeah, World Spine Worm, a 15/15 that when it dies you get, basically breaks into 3 parts. You get 3 5/5s with trample. Ah, such a good card. That was one of the ones I kept because that's just fun. So yeah, there's plenty you can do with Magic and have just like all sorts of great fun. Like I said, I'm a puzzle solver. I love, maybe not necessarily combo decks, but I love finding an angle and trying to solve it. So here's one. I think I might have tried to show this earlier, but whatever. Azuri Claw of Progress. So this is a 4-mana 3/3 legendary elf warrior. Whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under my control, I get an experience counter. Okay. Beginning of combat on my turn, put X +1/+1 counters on another target creature I control, where X is the number of experience counters I have. All right. Now there's plenty of ways to break this guy in half. Plenty. But I wanted to do something I hadn't really seen before. Morph is a mechanic, and it's sort of come back recently in Murders of Karlov Manor as disguise or cloak. You can play a creature with morph face down for 3 mana, and it comes in as a 2/2. Well, guess what? That triggers Azuri, and you can just place the counters on the dude. And then later you can flip it up for its morph or mega morph or whatever cost, and the counters stay on it. It's an interesting, fun deck. And this came about, here's another crazy story. So in one of my old previous play groups, we had a guy whose essentially only deck at the time was Azuri Claw of Progress. It was an updated precon where they switched things in and out from the pre-releases they went to and the drafts they did, and it was fun. He had fun. But at one point, I guess he felt like, I think it's something that happens to a lot of people where it's like, I only have the one deck and I keep getting, I keep losing with the one deck, or losing more than I'm winning. So they were getting, very, very disheartened. So what the rest of us decided to do in our own ways was we each made our own Azuri deck, which was not a copy of his. It was just a different take on it. And we just had like Azuri night one night. So like after 3-4 weeks, we had a table full of Azuri Claw Progress, and the dude was ecstatic. It was hilarious to see what was going on. One was like combo elves. This one was morph. It was hilarious. So like Mega Morph had recently come out. And what was the other thing? Manifest. Manifest had also come out too. Put in Carpet of Flowers because I knew that we were going to have a whole bunch of blue-green decks. So why not put in Carpet of Flowers? But like I have Equilibrium in here and Sunken Hope. This allows me to bounce my creatures back to my hand so I can replay them and then morph them again. And, oh, it's a bit clunky. It's pretty darn clunky, but it was pretty fun. Really super simple mana base. This could definitely be upgraded. Urban Evolution. Abundant Harvest, actually, I didn't have in this deck first. This was a later edition that I played after, unfortunately, leaving that group. And I've done a little bit of scouting to see if anything recently has sort of like piqued my interest on it. But yeah, you can do whatever you want in Magic. There is no right way or wrong way of doing it. It's just, what do you feel? And that's why I love this game so much. I love it so much. Pay no attention to the brine elemental behind the curtain. I'm absolutely not playing pickles combo. You cannot prove that. For those of you who know, you know. But yeah. Ugh. Such fun. Such fun. Alright. Let me put into the maybe board each of these cards that I have chilling in the tabs. Maybe board growing ranks. Tender Wild Guide. Yep. Ramana 2. God. Pharaoh. Gift. Waste. Blurb. Big O blurb. Conclave Evangelist. I am so going to make this guy sound like Foghorn Leghorn if I ever cast him. Now that's hey y'all. Boy, look at me when I'm talking to you, boy. It's about as sharp as a sack of wet mice. Pickles combo? Yeah. It called pickles because brine elemental. Pickles come in brine. So. Did you always want to be a cat slime? I mean, I am a cat slime. So, yeah. Would I want to be something else? I mean, I could be. I am a Slimoo, so like, I can change my shape and form if I choose. But it's nice being a comfy, bouncy slime. Because it's fun. You can bounce around and go bolt, bolt, bolt. Also just kind of melt into a puddle and then be like, all right, I'm done being corporeal for the day. And just like, well, did you want to be a human always? Mm-hmm. Maybe that works for you. Oh, so one last thing here. I'm going to wind down. It's going on 2.5 hours here for my stream. I got a few things I got to take care of. So before we saw one of my Mael decks, right? So this is the new version of the deck that I am working towards. So Mael had a pretty flat curve. This is an amount better. I mean, you still have a whole bunch of cards you're trying to essentially cheat in with Mael, right? But this is a much easier experience. We've got a whole bunch of low-cost ramp in here. We've got pretty solid mana base. We have some amount of protection. Some removal, targeted. We have a few good enchantments here that give us haste or draw us cards, give trample, card selection, and then we have our big dudes. And the sort of theme / synergy I went with is creatures that act like enchantments, essentially, whether they are enchantments or not. So it's like, okay, this being on the battlefield means that creatures I have menace now, and that I would prevent damage that would be dealt to attack. Cool. Creatures I control have trample. cool. Other creatures I control have haste. Spells that target, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under my control, this deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. So, like, there's a lot that you can do with, you know, each creature helps the other creature out. And that's kind of what I was trying to do here. I've yet to put it all together. I've yet to buy all the cards for it, but I'm very interested in how this plays out. There's like one or two cards where I'm like, okay, that's cool, but is that really what I want to do, etc., etc. Yeah, like there's even cards where it's just like, ooh, this would be neato, but like, where can I fit that in? Oh yeah, that roller coaster curve there. I'm surprised there isn't like a loop-de-loop in the middle. Just corkscrew through it. I think the big thing that got me into thinking, this is the direction I want to go, is Galta Stampede Tyrant. Because with this being essentially... Oh god, what's the card? I think it's called a Eureka? Hold on. Yeah, this thing. Here, let's pull up the Magic Online version here. Starting with you, each player puts a permanent card from their hand on the battlefield. Repeat this process until no one does. Whereas Galta is just dump your hand onto the battlefield. Just you, nobody else. And I have so many good creatures I would want to dump my hand. Like, so good. They should add more dinosaurs. Well, they are. They absolutely are adding more dinosaurs. When the original Ixalan block came out, I tell you what, everyone was... It felt like 1994 again with Jurassic Park. It was Dino Mania. I mean, there was part of me that wanted this deck to go either towards dinos or towards dragons, but I ended up thinking of going towards a sort of like god, you know, quotes god, angle. And there's just so much to this that feels right, that looks cool. So, yeah. Oh. I feel like maybe there's room in here for like, I don't know, ephemerate or something like that. Feels like there's a lot of creatures I have in here that have an enter the battlefield ability too. Let's see. No. Technically, yes. Technically, yes. No. 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 Technically, yes. So what was that? That's 3 already that are technically yeses. No. Definitely yes. So that's 4. 5, I guess. 6. 7. 8. I mean, once you've done this, it's kind of stupid to try and do it again, but whatever. 9. Yeah, there's about 9% of this deck would care about having an ephemerate effect. With all these big boys, what about Toralf? Toralf? Why do I not know that? Toralf, God of Fury. Also can be a hammer. Toralf, God of Fury. 4 mana for a 5/4. Okay, it does pass the 5 power check. Trample. Whenever a creature or planeswalker an opponent control dealt excess non-combat damage, Toralf deals damage equal to the excess to any target other than that permanent. Huh. I'm not sure about non-combat damage. Yeah, if it was combat, dude, that would be immediately in there. No, that's fine. I'm glad you suggested that. Whenever a creature, if it was excess non-combat damage. So is there anything that does that much non-combat damage? Let's see. We have Terror of the Peaks. We have Drakuseth. Technically Zakama. Yeah, not enough to warrant it. What does the equipment side do? Equipped creature has 1 in red unattached to the hammer. Deal 3 damage to any target. Return it to its hand. Okay. This is like Bogarden Hammer. That's an old card. Terrible card. But yeah. You know what? Hold on. I'm curious. Who's creature type? Eagle and Commander. Let's do it. Acidic Slime. Cave, Progenitor Ooze. Biogenic Ooze. Biowaste Blob. Consuming Blob. What's Consuming Blob? Consuming Blob's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that +1. Okay, so it's Tarmogoyf. Beginning your end step, create a green ooze creature token with this. There's essentially a copy of it, but it's not a copy. Interesting. Okay. Let's see here. Corrosive ooze. Blocks comes from print. No. Flash Devour. That's funny. Green slime. Inexorable Blab. When Inexorable Blab attacks, if there are 4 more card types on cards in your graveyard, make a 3/3 green ooze. It's tapped and attacking. Ooh. Organda. Post-movement to control, the non-creature fights opponent. Okay, Transform. In combat, every turn another creature gets +2 and loses all abilities. Okay, that's cute. Not what I want to do, but cute. Horn Reef Ooze. Predator Ooze. Whenever a creature dealt damage by Predator and dies, put a +1/+1 on the Ooze. Okay. Oh, Mitotic Slime. This thing has gotten so outclassed. But can I just tell you that this thing is just so much fun? Why are all oozes green? I know, right? It's so freaking racist. Where's the blue slimes? I worked hard to get here, man. It's also because I've only got it filtered to white and green. So I think there's other ones. Scavenging Ooze. That's a classic. Print Lifter. Creature controls. Okay, whatever. Ravenous Slime. Can't be blocked. If a creature from controls would die, exile instead. Slurk. All ingesting. Okay. There's Battlefield 5. Counters on it. When it or another creature dies, if it had counters on it, put on each creature control that has. Okay. Interesting. Ooze Wag. Adapt to. Modified creatures control have trample. Nice. Let's see. What other colors do we have here? Sort by color. Yeah, there's like blue something slimes, but not just blue slimes. There's no white slimes either. We do have a bunch of black slimes and an amount of red. Necroplasm, Pathetic Ooze, Gelatinous Cube for the square boys out there. Gelatinous cube enters battlefield, exile target non-ooze creature opponent controls until this leaves battlefield. Dissolve X in a black, but target creature card with mana value X exiled with gelatinous cube into its owner's graveyard. Okay. Expanding ooze. Umori the Collector. Experiment Rage. Vanifar, technically speaking. Slogurk, the Overslime. The Overslime! Yeah, Serbi's correct. Because a core part of the ooze identity, hello there, is growth. And in Magic, growth is really a green concept. Growth, nature, life, it's all green. Blue is much more science and knowledge based. So you have or like modification based, let's say. So like a blue-green creature could be one that is like genetically unstable or something like that, flavor-wise. Whenever land cards put in graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 on Slogurk. Move 3 +1/+1s, return it to its hand. Huh. When Slogurk leaves the battlefield, return up 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand. Interesting. This does nothing. Felix 5. Oh, I remember this thing, right? If creature control dealing combat action will cause a triggered ability. Do it again. That's cool. Mimeoplasm. Oh. Oh, Mimeoplasm. Look at him. Look at him! Gotta represent. See, there's also, I think there's an ooze legal in Commander. Let's do by color. So there's a lot that is ooze creature, but there should also be ooze. Oh yeah, look at that. Power equal to the number of crabs, oozes, and horrors. Lol. Gelatinous ooze, make an ooze. Gutter grime. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, put a slime counter on this. Then create a green ooze creature token with this creature's power and toughness equal to the number of slime counters on gutter grime. Pretty nice. Create an XX green ooze creature token. Ooze Flux. Ooze Garden. Slime Against Humanity. I'm attempting to build this deck in Pauper. I swear. It's a sorcery, 2 and a green. Create a 0/0 green ooze creature token with trample. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is 2 plus the number of cards I control in exile or in my graveyard named Slime Against Humanity or that are oozes. And I can run as many of these as I want. So, yeah. Mystic Genesis. That technically creates an ooze. There's not a lot of ooze synergy, but it's nice. Iconic Slime. Look how packed the original rules box had to be. And now it's this. People have complained about like, oh, they keep changing the wording or they just keep changing the... When you go from that to that, it's a pretty good change, I'd say. Man. DCI, man, $8. This card's awful, but like, so love to win that. Oh man, oh man, oh man. I've gotten so off track and derailed from what I wanted to do, but I think it was fun. I think just chit-chatting about Commander and having fun with it. Definitely been worth it today. Oh, again, not going to show you this. Not yet. I think like right now, one of my most unique decks is definitely the Child of Laura Pauper deck. Again, mystery guy that I found this from. I did a few tweaks for. Like, thank you so much for putting this up in the first place. This deck is just so much fun. Ugh. I want to play Magic. I want to play Magic again. That curve though. If there was ever a centerfold in a Magic magazine, that mana curve would be it. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, unfortunately, I've run a little bit longer than I intended to today. I have things that I need to do. But I want to thank everyone for stopping by. Seen a couple new faces here. Vibrant Toucan, thank you for stopping by. I hope you have a wonderful journey with your learning of Magic and playing Arena and doing pre-releases and stuff. The full release of Bloom Burrow is coming up this coming weekend, the first weekend of August. So if you manage to go to a local game store to play Draft or Sealed or something like that, you should have a lot of fun. It'd be great. Serby, thank you so much for stopping by. But yeah, it's been really nice to kind of not have my brain melt from trying to figure out battle strategies today. And just sit back, chill, and talk shop about Commander and EDH. So, anywho, I'm going to call it here, guys. Thank you again so much for stopping by. I want to do something like this again soon, but I will be taking a bit of a break from the internet at large. More updates will be on my Twitter for now. But yeah, I will be back in August with some more content. We will be continuing our Minecraft series in my Slimecraft world. So if you are interested in watching this little blue Slimoo bumble his way through the Nether and trying to make a new pathway to a base location that we found a couple streams ago, come and check that out. That will be this coming Friday, and if not this coming Friday, it will be 2 Fridays from now. So keep an eye out on my Twitter for that. And I do have that on my VODs channel now, so go ahead and catch that. I'll be uploading this shortly to my VODs channel. And who knows, maybe next time we'll continue Tristani, or I'll have this more underway and we can talk more about the theory crafting and deck building choices I've made in the next stream. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day, and I hope you catch me in the next stream. Follow me on Twitter, Ceylon Cross. Give me a follow on Twitch if you liked hearing me yap. Otherwise, take care, everybody. I shall see you later. Goodbye, everyone. Yeah.